Hi, I'm Miraj and you are watching Tech It Out. Now we tend to think that technology moves in a linear fashion, in a straight line. It's getting smarter, faster, more efficient. But that's not always true. Sometimes the future arrives early, like it did with the Concorde when it came out in the 1970s. It remains unequaled to the day. How do monarch butterflies find their way back across thousands of kilometers every year? Technology still hasn't figured it out, but we are trying. And finally, look around you. Some of these old speakers, some of these old radios, they still sound better than most audiophile systems of today. How does that work? That and more in this episode. Have you ever had your grandparents tell you that things today are just not made with the same level of quality like they got when they were young? Turns out it's not just nostalgia. Consumer tech today isn't manufactured to last a lifetime. Radios in the 60s, before transistors came along, were, and in fact they can still deliver audiophile quality if their internal architecture is changed and they're made compatible with modern systems like Bluetooth. We met somebody in Delhi doing just that. Interesting story, have a watch.
It's the great paradox of the digital age. As we push deeper into the worlds of generative artificial intelligence and virtual reality, we seem to be developing a collective ache for the physical and the tactile. It's called Technostalgia. Now, most people look at old electronics and see junk. Abhishek Basak sees a gold mine. Basak is a self-styled autodidact, someone who teaches himself skills. In this case, to restore, embellish, beautify, augment, or just reinterpret. He has a thing for the Victorian era, loves steampunk, looks a bit like a character from an Edgar Allan Poe story, and is a man of versatile talents. We first heard of him when a reel went viral showing his gallery with these gorgeous antique radios that he had restored and made compatible with digital technology. Now, these pre-transistor era radios are still quite sought after as living room artifacts, but no one really uses them, and we were curious to hear how they sound when paired with modern audio.
I restore them and then I digitally upgrade them, which means that I create the whole chipset and everything to make them sing again from current music sources.
In 2025, Spotify, the popular music streaming app, announced that it was finally introducing lossless audio for users. It's a format that's already in play from Apple Music, Tidal Music, and other music streaming apps, especially those that are sought after by audiophiles. Now, lossless requires a DAC or a digital analog converter and produces high-fidelity music that is usually preferred by classical music buffs and jazz enthusiasts.
See, the thing with lossless is that it is exactly how it has been recorded.
I was curious though, how were these restored if their internals have all been changed?
The source material has changed.
Right.
The speakers, I restored the original ones.
So these are original speakers?
All the systems have their original speaker. But we have to match the speaker impedance with the amplifier, so that we have to do every single radio separately.
It's a real blast from the past. I love the way they look. Let's hear them. Let's hear how they sound.
Let's play one. Now see, this one, analog switch on, right? The volume is also analog, but we play it through Bluetooth. I'm going to play one of the classics, Mozart.
So the speakers are on the side. Let's hear the sound comes.
Yeah, because the sounds are coming from the side.
Both sides.
This is a very rare one which has got two side speakers.
At the end of the day, the difference between lossless sound and, say, MP3s is quite stark. When analog waves are converted to digital bits, there's stuff that falls through the cracks. Think of digital audio as a series of steps, and while analog is more akin to a curve. In the digital age, we're trying to make the steps so small that the brain is fooled into thinking it's a curve. Now, as a writer, I'm drawn to the typewriters Basak has restored. There's something undeniably gratifying about the feedback you get from a mechanical typewriter.
A lot of young writers come and they want a typewriter because of the whole thing that it's tactile.
Right.
It's a vibe, of course.
It's a vibe. It's a vibe.
It's a vibe.
Mechanical keyboards are quite popular with gamers, but I'm surprised to hear that young writers are coming back to use the typewriter. Basak may be right, but to think and write each word or carefully frame a picture before clicking requires a different creative process entirely, one that most of us have lost touch with. But it's the same impulse that's driving the popularity of vinyl records that are coming back into vogue or cassette players. It's really about having the choice to decide what you want to listen to and what you want to leave out. When MP3s came, they gave us the convenience of thousands of songs in our pocket. But they also compressed music by stripping it of details. Most of these details are inaudible to all but the most expert listeners. And yet the music listening experience just feels different. Now it appears we want quality back, not just of what we create, but the experience of creation. The future isn't about more, it's about better. At least when it comes to music, there's hope for us yet.
The Concorde is possibly the most recognizable commercial aircraft ever made. Slender white body, drooping nose, all of us had models as children. 50 years after it took flight and over 20 years after it was grounded, no other commercial aircraft has come close to equaling, let alone surpassing the Concorde. It flew passengers not just at the speed of sound, but at twice the speed of sound. As we celebrate 50 years of the Concorde, here's a retrospective.
"50 years ago, aviation broke the sound barrier for commercial flights. On January 21st, 1976, the world entered the age of supersonic commercial travel. On the same day, 2 flights made history. A British Airways Concorde lifted off from London Heathrow for Bahrain. An Air France Concorde departed Paris for Rio. Supersonic passenger travel had officially begun. This was the aircraft of royalty, celebrities and business leaders crossing oceans at twice the speed of sound. In 1969, 7 years before it was pressed into commercial service, the Concorde completed its first test flight from Toulouse, France, a 28-minute journey that changed aviation forever. Developed in the 1960s as a joint British-French project by the British Aircraft Corporation and Sud Aviation, later Aerospatiale, the Concorde was built to cruise at more than twice the speed of sound, at altitudes near 60,000 feet, far above conventional airliners. With its slender fuselage, delta wings, and distinctive drooping nose that enabled pilot visibility during takeoffs and landings, the Concorde became one of the most recognizable silhouettes in aviation history. A Concorde aircraft is displayed at the Imperial War Museum, Duxford, not a decommissioned commercial airplane, but a prototype used for development and testing.
If you went on a commercial Concorde, it's quite luxurious. This is not luxurious inside. It's got 2 explosive escape hatches to bail out, which weren't obviously in the commercial ones. And the test crew that went around the world with it would be wearing flying suits and parachutes and so on. It has done some pretty scary things and got through it. And that was what enabled them to refine the product and get a really suitable supersonic airliner.
Commercial Concordes featured refined cabins for long-haul travel, carrying up to 128 passengers in unmatched speed and exclusivity. Among the people who shaped the Concorde's legacy was John Britton, an engineer who worked on the program as a young apprentice.
One of the first things I started working on at that time, so we're talking about 1968, we were building the prototypes. So I was actually working on the engine incident. We called the engine, we called the power plant, because it's the engine, the air intake, and then the primary and the secondary nozzle. So there's 3 main bits of it.
At the peak of its popularity, the Concorde routinely flew between London and New York in just 3.5 hours, cutting transatlantic travel time by more than half. But speed came at a cost. The Concorde burned fuel at an unprecedented rate and carried fewer passengers than conventional jets. The aircraft also had to contend with strict noise regulations and restricted where it was allowed to fly supersonically. Its loud sonic boom became a trademark, but limited routes, affected profitability, and limited growth. Only 20 Concordes were ever built. Merely 14 entered passenger service. The beginning of the end for the Concorde came on July 25, 2000, when an Air France Concorde crashed shortly after takeoff, killing all 109 people on board and 4 on the ground.
I was on holiday in Cornwall with my family, and I had to jump in the car and race back to Fulton straight away. And the next morning we were on the crash site in Gonesse. And that was a terrible experience. To be confronted with something that we thought we would never see, that was a Concorde crash, was absolutely terrible. And it was a real low point in our career.
The Concorde fleet was immediately grounded. After 18 months of investigation and extensive safety modifications, the Concorde was allowed to return to the skies. But its glory days were definitely over. Rising maintenance costs, aging airframes, and declining passenger numbers finally sealed the aircraft's fate. In 2003, both British Airways and Air France retired the Concorde, effectively ending the supersonic era for commercial jets.
There'll never be another Concorde. All right? My son says, how am I going to tell the grandchildren that their grandpa flew to New York in 3 hours, 20 minutes, and it takes us, if we want to go to Disneyland in Florida or whatever, it's going to take us 8 hours to get there. And the answer to that is Concorde.
Today, 50 years on, the Concorde remains one of the most enduring legacies of human endeavor. An ambitious aircraft to build and fly, it was a triumph of engineering and a symbol of speed and prestige. It also remains a telling reminder of the economic and environmental limits of supersonic travel, which explains why no other commercial aircraft has ever gone into Concorde territory. Nothing today can fly remotely as fast or as high. To mark the occasion, the Royal Mint released a commemorative 50p coin celebrating the Concorde, while the Royal Mail unveiled a new collection of stamps in honor of the record-breaking aircraft.
Davos 2026 was all about the tech, artificial intelligence, and robotics. Appropriately, in the final days of the conference, a flurry of robots hit the streets, meeting people, interacting with them, mingling on the streets. It made for quite a sight. Have a look.
Davos is better known for drawing the world's most powerful and influential figures. But this time, it wasn't just global leaders making headlines. Robots were rolling through its streets. The Alpine town, famous for summits and serious debate, turned into a live tech show. As machines marched, waved, and interacted with the crowds, the robotic procession drew crowds of all ages, offering a glimpse of how intelligent systems could one day blend into public life. The display was held ahead of the inaugural Davos Tech Summit, set to take place in July this year, under the theme Touching Intelligence. This event will bring together leaders from industry, science, and politics to debate how advanced robots are beginning to interact with the physical world. And with that, here's a look at some of the machines already shaping that future. In Hangzhou, East China's Zhejiang province, a fully robotic restaurant has begun trial operations, where AI-powered machines cook and serve an entire range of dishes, drinks, and desserts. Inside, a cooking robot prepares classic Chinese favorites like 3-cup chicken, following preset programs. It adds ingredients, seasons, stirs, and tosses, all automatically, to create a freshly cooked dish in minutes.
The food tastes good and suits my preferences. It would be even better if it were a bit more tender.
When I was young, I saw robots cooking in cartoons. Now it feels like a childhood dream has come true.
The restaurant's menu offers over 100 dishes, focusing on the cuisine of Hangzhou. There are also 24 seasonal specialities inspired by China's traditional solar terms, blending modern technology with ancient culinary customs. More than 10 robots are in operation, handling everything from cooking and noodle making to serving, coffee making and floor cleaning, covering every stage of the dining experience. Engineers at the Columbia University have built a robotic face that can learn to move its lips in sync with speech and singing by watching itself in a mirror and observing humans online. The aim is to make humanoid robots appear less uncanny when interacting face-to-face. Rather than programming fixed rules, the team used a two-step observational learning approach. First, a robotic face with 26 motors made thousands of random expressions in front of a mirror, learning how movements translate into visible lip shapes. And next, it watched recordings of people talking and singing, picking up how human mouth movements relate to sound.
Hello. I am Emo, a robot designed to simulate emotions and interact with humans in a more natural way. How can I assist you today?
Bonjour. With both models combined, the robot can translate audio into coordinated motor actions and lip syncing across different languages.
We also had a hard time with sounds that involve lip puckering, like W, and the sound at the end of hello. These involve sort of three-dimensional motion of the face that's hard for the robot to master. But I'm pretty optimistic that with enough time, watching itself and watching humans, the robot will learn these things. And that's the beauty of using AI and machine learning, is that it gets better with time.
Cat, father, spa, car, far, boy.
Some of the most enduring mysteries in nature still remain quite inexplicable to us despite all of our advancement in technology. One of those is how birds migrate, or monarch butterflies for that matter. Now we're using AI to put little tabs on these butterflies to figure out how these butterflies find their way across an entire continent. Not that we know, but at least we know that they don't travel in a straight line and take very circuitous routes to get to the same place. Very interesting story, have a look.
In nature, some of the smallest creatures carry the largest stories. A monarch butterfly, no bigger than a human palm, embarks on a migration across thousands of miles, facing harsh weather, predators, and human-altered landscapes. Tracking this delicate journey requires patience, ingenuity, and sometimes technology that seems straight out of science fiction. It's a reminder that even the tiniest wings can teach us about survival, resilience, and the fragile balance of our ecosystems. The monarch's journey has fascinated scientists for decades. Every year, these butterflies leave the cooler climes of North America and head south, crossing countries, climates, and terrain. They fly without maps, obviously, without guides, and without ever having made the journey before. For years, this migration remained a bit of a mystery. Researchers could only guess where monarchs traveled, how they chose their routes, where they stopped to rest. Observations were fragmented, and answers were pieced together from scattered sightings and occasional tag recoveries.
We knew my expertise was butterflies, and Isla's expertise was tech and drones and AI and things like that, and we sort of thought, well, what can we do together? So we kind of came to the idea that we could study monarch migration, and serendipitously at the same time this new technology came on the market where you could put these tiny little tags on butterflies and track them through space, which kind of fits in the intersection of both our interests quite nicely. So then we thought, well, let's try and develop a project doing that.
Now in Florida, scientists have developed a new way to follow monarchs as they move across the North American continent. Using ultra-light tags small enough to sit on a butterfly's back, researchers are able to monitor their movements with unprecedented precision. The tags are designed to blend into the butterfly's natural form, causing minimal disturbance to its flight. They're powered by miniature solar cells and emit low energy signals. The tags send location data without weighing the insects down.
Monarchs are amazing in terms of they're really well studied, but there's still a lot of open questions about what they're doing when they're migrating. And you've got resident and migratory populations. And the migratory population goes from the south west of Canada, northeast of continental US, all the way down to Mexico. And it's the only generation that makes that migration. So it doesn't have, adults from which they're learning. So they're making the migration for the first time. And it's a phenomenally long migration as well.
The tag is a micro device built from a combination of silicon chips, a thin antenna, and a solar cell. Each unit measures just a few millimeters across and integrates a Bluetooth transmitter with sensors that sends location data at regular intervals.
So the Blue Morpho tag is a teeny radio transmitter that sends out a Bluetooth signal, and any receiver in range, whether it be a Terra or a smartphone or one of our mobile apps, will pick up that signal, and it's able to pick up the location of that tag. It's got a teeny solar panel on it, so if there's available sunlight, it'll be able to transmit that signal. There's no battery, and so it lasts the life of the animal we're tracking, in this case, the monarch butterfly.
Whenever a tagged monarch passes within range over fields, cities, or forests, its signal is captured, logged, and added to a growing map of migration. For the first time, the monarch's epic journey is being recorded in real time.
Tracking interface, every scientist that deploys these tags can see this interface. They can actually click on any one of these monarchs and see its very detailed track. So every single one of these points will show up. They can zoom in and see where it was.
The data reveals not just where these butterflies go, but how they respond to their environment, where they pause, where they struggle to get through, and where they thrive. Now, what scientists are now being able to gather is that monarchs do not follow a single route. Some take direct paths, others take a circuitous route, meandering through different territory. Some stop frequently, while others push forward with remarkable endurance.
It's not just about monarchs either, because this technology, you can use it on other butterflies, you can use it on other insects. People are, I think, putting these tags on dragonflies, big dragonflies.
The monarch migration, it turns out, is not a single journey, but thousands of individual decisions made by these fragile creatures navigating a complex world. Urban expansion, agricultural development, and climate shifts have transformed the landscapes that monarchs have depended on and flown through for generations. Meadows are fast disappearing, native plant species are being replaced, temperatures have become much less predictable. By following the monarchs closer than ever before, scientists hope to understand how these changes are impacting this magnificent butterfly's survival.
Technology doesn't move in a straight line. Sometimes it pauses, sometimes it loops, sometimes it goes backwards. I think what matters is not what we invent, but what we decide to keep, what we choose to revive, and what we decide to let go. Whether it's analog music, whether it is supersonic flight, whether it is how we interact with nature and what we take from it. What do we want our future to look like? I shall leave you with that question. This is Miraj signing out. You are watching Tech It Out. Keep watching WION, follow us on social media, and have a great weekend.